Good morning and welcome to the fifth edition of SDG Action and Awareness Week. My name is Angel Cabrera, president of Georgia Tech. Almost 7 years ago, a small group of university leaders gathered at the Rockefeller Foundation's conference center in Bellagio, Italy, a place where for almost half of a century, some very consequential ideas have taken shape. We came together with a conviction that universities have both the capacity but also the responsibility to help the world achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. From that gathering, the University Global Coalition was born. I mention Bellagio not simply as a point of origin, but because that setting reminding us of something quite important, that the greatest challenges facing humanity have always required bringing together diverse perspectives, sustained commitment, and the willingness to move from discussion to action. And that spirit continues to animate everything we do. We asked ourselves how university networks can accelerate progress towards the SDGs in ways that individual institutions cannot achieve alone. The answer lies in understanding the nature of the challenges we face. Climate change does not respect national borders. Pandemic preparedness requires global coordination. Food security, clean water, quality education. These are not problems of any single institution or region of the world, even a nation. We cannot solve these things in isolation. When universities come together in networks like the UGC, we create something greater than the sum of our parts. We can mobilize research capacity across continents. We can share best practices almost immediately. We can train students who understand that the problems they will face in their careers are fundamentally global in scope. Consider what becomes possible. A research team in Sao Paulo can collaborate with colleagues in Singapore or Stockholm to address a challenge that affects communities in sub-Saharan Africa. Students from universities across the coalition can work together on real-world projects, learning not just technical skills, but the cultural competencies that are essential for global problem solving. No single institution, no matter how well resourced, can replicate that kind of reach or that diversity of perspective. And by working together, we can also share best practices and inspire one another to do better. Why should we care about universities in addressing these very big challenges that we face? Simply put, without the leaders who can navigate complexity, who understand that the 17 SDGs are deeply interconnected, and who possess both the technical expertise but also the ethical grounding to make decisions that will shape our future, there's no hope we can be successful. So, for example, at Georgia Tech, we've tried to embed this commitment into much of what we do in education, in research, and in service to our community. We've worked to embed content that is relevant to the SDGs in courses across all 6 of our colleges, from material science to aerospace engineering, from economics to computational media, trying to shape how we teach future engineers, future scientists, and business leaders. And we're using our own campus as a learning laboratory. Take, for example, we just built a few years ago a new building, the Candida Building for Innovative Sustainable Design, which is the first building in the Southeast to earn the Living Building Challenge certification, and only 28 or 30 in the world. This building generates more energy than it consumes. It processes its own water. It treats all of its wastewater on site. Most importantly, it helps students not just learn about sustainability in the abstract, they experience regenerative design in action. So thousands of students pass through the building every semester, and they will carry those values into their careers as engineers, architects, scientists, whatever they decide to do. So what makes me most hopeful about our future is how our students have embraced this mission as their own. Our Engineers Without Borders chapter partners with communities around the globe, in Nepal, Bolivia, Ecuador, and right here in Atlanta. This year, students travel to a mountainous region of Nepal where women spend much of their day walking long distances to fetch water. So our students listen first, then design a sustainable water supply system, and will serve 200, that would serve about 200 households. As one student put it, good engineering starts with understanding the people you're building for. And closer to home, same students are working with Deerwood Academy, a elementary school in West Atlanta that serves food insecure students. They're building a greenhouse, developing a STEM education program, providing hands-on learning while bringing fresh produce to a neighborhood in a food desert. So this is SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and SDG 4, Quality Education, coming to life in our own backyard. And in our Global Development Capstone courses, interdisciplinary teams tackle challenges spanning from affordable energy, clean water, gender equality, climate action, presenting their solutions to our annual Ideas to Serve competition. Of course, networks and coalitions are only as effective as the actions they enable. Too often, international collaborations remain at the level of memoranda of understanding, impressive documents that sit in filing cabinets, while the urgent work remains undone. My hope for UGC is that we try to be specific about our goals. The SDGs provide a framework, but we need to identify concrete targets that we collectively can pursue. Second, I hope we can create structures that support sustained engagement, not just the annual conference, but ongoing working groups and joint research initiatives, student exchange programs, etc. And third, we need to hold ourselves accountable. That means ensuring our progress, measuring our progress, sharing our successes and our failures honestly, and try to find ways to do better. And for all of this, we need to engage our students as partners, not as passive recipients. They're really at the heart of what we do, and they bring a lot to this task. So here's my hope for the 5th edition of SDG Action and Awareness Week. My hope is threefold. First, I hope we see more universities joining this movement, not just as an add-on, but really taking real, making this a central part of their mission. Second, I hope we develop models of collaboration that can be replicated and scaled, and that we can demonstrate to the broader world that collective action among universities is not an aspiration, it's actually real. And third, I hope we inspire a generation of students to see themselves as agents of change. That's what we're here about. We're now past the midpoint of the 2030 agenda. The urgency is real, but so is the opportunity. Universities have driven human progress for centuries. The challenges before us are immense, but I'm confident that working together, as we are doing through the University Global Coalition, we can make a meaningful difference. So thank you for your commitment to this work, and I look forward to all that we will accomplish together. Thank you so very much.